buying all the parts and pieces that go into a house. Is that really the cost of the house? No, you have to pay the taxes, you have to pay the permitting, you have to make sure that the ground is leveled, you have to make sure that you have the appropriate labor to come in the appropriate order to build that house for you. And a lot of people kind of fall into this trap of, well, I'm going to buy this product and it's going to get me the outcome I need. In the digital world, people sometimes assume like, well, no, I'm going to buy the drywall and it's going to all of a sudden work.
Hey everybody, and welcome to the Incident Report presented by Quest Technology Management. I'm Paul Burke, Director of Technology Communications. Every week, I'm joined by VP of Sales and Partnerships, Adam Burke. The Incident Report brings you conversations with thought leaders, business innovators, and channel mavericks to help you stay productive and agile in a changing technology landscape. Hey everybody, welcome back to the Incident Report. I'm your host, Paul Burke. We unpack the latest news stories in the partner channel. Every week we embark on a thrilling expedition uncovering hidden gems that make our channel-loving hearts skip a beat. That's ChatGPT's summary of what the show is. I'm one half of the hosts. Across from me, Adam Burke. How are you doing?
Good, Paul. Excited to be here. Love the ChatGPT generated intro that you just summarized there. Good stuff. Off to a good week. I don't know if anyone knows this, but the first Wednesday of every June is Global Running Day. So for those of you who got your miles in yesterday, good job. So for those of you who didn't, get your miles in. Get some running in. It's good.
Message received, Adam. I need to get my miles in.
There you go.
Good run?
Good run. I'm at elevation right now at about 7,000 feet and not used to it. So I was sucking wind a little bit, but you get through it. You get through it.
Are you like a meditative runner? Or are you somebody listening to podcasts, music?
I try to listen to a little podcast, like to listen to some training, like to listen to some overviews, those type of things. So
got it. You're like, let me not only get my body right, let me overachieve by getting my mind right as well.
Yeah, it's when you try to take notes while running that things get a little messy. So don't do that.
Okay.
Don't do that.
Good point. So I took notes. Smooth transition. I took notes last week, Adam. You asked, hey, use ChatGPT to find some stories for this week's podcast. And I thought, okay, if I do this, we might realize that our importance in this podcast might become insignificant because ChatGPT might do all our work. So
Paul, I've never doubted my insignificance.
Okay, then I think too highly of myself, Adam. But here's the thing. After having searched ChatGPT for the top 3 news stories that we could talk about, I think our jobs are safe on this podcast, Adam, because first, ChatGPT apologized and said, "I'm sorry, but as an AI language model, my responses are generated based on pre-existing knowledge up until September 2021. The stories they provided were Apple's transition to custom silicon in 2020, the rise of 5G technology, and artificial intelligence and machine learning advancements. All very old stories."
Well, they live in the past a little bit, but the Apple folks just, released some VR ski goggles this week, which they got their interactive ski goggles. So they still got Apple in the news. And AI is self-coding now and pretty sure going to create a nuclear winter pretty soon here. So we're good. I mean, I think that's, we're running right in parallel. They're 3 years old, or 2 years old, but history's rhyming.
Okay. And we're gonna be here every week with the Incident Report up until that winter apocalypse.
Well, and for our friends on the East Coast right now dealing with the particulates in the air, those of us from California who have dealt with wildfires and smoke and staying inside while you see the orange apocalyptic haze, best of luck for you. I know that sucks with all the Canadian wildfires going on. I was just on a call with a friend from Philadelphia and the East Coast, and they are not used to the particulates in the air like we are out in California for wildfires. They're dealing with a little bit of that right now from the smoke.
I was watching Casey Neistat's video yesterday about the situation, and I was having like flashbacks from the fires a couple of years ago. That's horrible. Yeah, stay inside, be safe, because it really does aggravate the throat and can affect you.
Yeah, didn't you guys bought like a bunch of molecules, didn't you, to deal with that? That's actually a customer of ours, that the molecular air purifiers. I think that can help some of the particulates in the air for sure.
Yeah, it helped us. So not a sponsor, but a molecule helped us a lot. We got a big one and we got a couple small ones. So it's been helping a lot.
They've been a Quest customer for a couple of years. So, kind of a sponsor. We can tier two sponsor,
Okay.
sponsor.
There you go. Molecule. Tier 2. If you want to be a tier 1 in your company out there, reach out to us.
Taking applications. People are knocking down the door though. So we are taking applications. We will get back to you.
Email us, call us, carrier pigeon us, whatever you feel like.
Yeah.
So today it's a hat trick of CRN articles. We got 3 stories from crn.com, starting with Cisco Live 2023. Cisco Live right now is taking place in Las Vegas. And as I'm going through this article, 3 things stand out. Cisco is focusing on the cloud, security, and simplifying, moving away from the complex and making products that are more simple for the user. Adam, what were your thoughts?
Yeah, it was, so Chuck Robbins he kind of he usually does the keynote, kind of kicks the whole thing off. And one of the things he was talking a lot about that caught my attention was, their cloud platform strategy and their full stack observability. Those things tying into their security. We've been seeing that. We've been seeing what they've been investing in. We've been a Cisco partner for 20 plus years, both on the managed services and on the VAR reseller side. So seeing what they're doing from a full stack vendor agnostic observability standpoint is interesting, because a lot of these platform and OEMs and manufacturers are usually can be pretty centric on their own environments. But it seems like the Cisco team is leaning into simplifying that security and that observability, which is really what everyone needs to. You need to see things in order to understand what the threats are. So that's great. That's cool to see. We'll see how it goes, but we know they are collapsing a lot of that, into a kind of a simplified model.
Is full stack a way of saying simplifying?
It's a way of saying kind of like across the different areas, right? So you can see your systems, you can see your network, you can see your connectivity, you can see different performance metrics across the stack, basically from the end user to the data center to the cloud, kind of that full stack, that layer 1 through 7. You go from the physical all the way up through the application layers. Cisco's trying to give you observability to what's happening where.
So I have a question, and I hope this makes sense. Do you think Cisco is responding to the market who was getting frustrated with complexity and wanted more simplicity, or are they thinking that the market is going to be moving more towards simplicity, so they're just trying to get in front of it?
I think it's a little bit of both. The market is moving towards simplification of all these complex challenges. And one of the things that Cisco has always had, and Chuck, whenever Chuck and I are on the phone call, I just call him Chuck. It used to be Mr. Robbins, but he says, Adam, don't be so formal. Chuck was mentioning that, Cisco loves to have, complex features and the ability to kind of twist all the nerd knobs and get things tied up exactly how you want them. But what he's seen and what they've seen and what we've seen candidly is that's great. But if you're having a challenge or it's such a complex deployment to deploy these things, people are pushing back on that. So they're trying to move the battleship a little bit towards the idea of simplifying those abilities while at the same time, focusing on the ability to customize features. So it's a double-edged sword there. You can't have simple scalability and complex feature sets at the same time. They're trying to kind of move a little bit towards that simplification.
I don't know if the marketing people got to Jonathan Davidson. So Executive Vice President Jonathan Davidson, he had a great phrase, and I don't know if marketing told him to say this or he just created it, but he said, if it's connected, it's protected, which I thought was a good phrase, but I don't know if a dangerous promise.
It's protected from a visibility standpoint, and from if you deploy, their edge and their stack across your infrastructure.
Mm-hmm.
Everyone kind of wants that simplified model, and so I would probably bet that was a marketing term. Mm-hmm. They are kind of trying to get that full stack observability all the way from the endpoint to the operation systems to the data center or cloud environments, as well as just connecting APIs and applications to your corporate environment, securing those connections as well. There's as much as people try to simplify things, the world's getting more and more complex.
I thought Cisco's Chief Strategy Officer, Liz Santoni, had a great comment about IT consolidation. Quote, I don't expect us to come in and say, hey, we want to be the only platform in your environment. But what we can help you do is consolidate the field to fewer tools, collect data from the source, and become that single source of truth in your environment.
Yeah, they are that's kind of that vendor agnostic visibility angle because every client's different. Everyone has different, and we're going to get into this a little bit more later. Everyone has different diverse systems deployed. And if you're trying to kind of be that single point of truth for organizations, that's a way to stay relevant. That's a way to stay tied into the enterprise and making sure you're helping organizations achieve what they're trying to do. It's a scary time to be a manufacturer or an organization because everyone's kind of trying to struggle to figure out, okay, what's AI going to do to our environment? How are we going to stay relevant, within the security space, within the operation space, within the networking space? But being a consolidation and helping organizations do more with less tool sets is a smart strategy.
And sometimes you just struggle to make the tool work when it stops, which is our second article. Microsoft grapples with recurrence of Microsoft 365 service issues. The cloud service went down. Fortunately, it wasn't widespread. It affected clients for a short period of time. And Microsoft says the issue was a result of an unspecified update that was halted.
Yeah, you never quite get an exact description or root cause analysis of what happened until maybe a little bit, down the road. But we're, Quest is a tier 1 CSP, and we work directly with Microsoft and support thousands of clients that are leveraging, Microsoft 365 and Azure and those types of assets. And these types of issues do happen. We did see some things on Down Detector and those notifications come out, and you hear issues of slow email loads and, hey, I can't get access to my Exchange, those types of service issues. And I think that's going to continue to happen as more and more people move towards, cloud only and cloud first strategies. You're going to have connectivity issues. You're going to have these types of situations happen. That is kind of the nature of it, but they are responding well and getting out feedback as far as what happened, but you never really get an exact answer of how or what went down where.
The article mentioned you have to remember it depends on where the service issue is and where your Microsoft 365 mailboxes are located in the cloud. With Azure, you can pick a data center, but with Microsoft 365, you have no idea where your mailboxes are located. In some cases, mailboxes are across multiple data centers.
Yeah, where the outage occurs, it can matter as well. Not every single data center or every single instance of any cloud provider is going to affect everybody. People throw a patch, people throw an update, people throw something in the command line at a certain location. It's going to impact users that are accessing that location. There's a funny smart ass like sticker that is a cloud. It's a picture of a cloud, and it just says the cloud is just someone else's computer somewhere else. It's still at the end of the day spinning disk and CPU and memory and RAM in a data center somewhere. Mm-hmm. And your Exchange environment or your Microsoft environment exists somewhere. In Azure, like it says, you can pick what data center you want to operate out of because that's where your applications are going to reside. That's where they're going to live. They're going to sit on those compute assets. With some of your identity kind of services in Microsoft, those could be spread across multiple tenants and multiple environments. Not a lot of people know that exists until something goes wrong. But if you want to be proactive about it, it's definitely a good thing to be proactive about, to take a look at.
And so how would you be proactive about that?
So when you're doing tenant creation and when you're building out your Microsoft environment, mm-hmm. you can identify different zones and different areas where you want that to reside. Organizations, there's a government cloud, certain controls you can put in place. If you're buying general subscription, then you're buying general subscription services, and that is what it is, and it could be across multiple data centers. But depending on the size of your environment, I don't think this has been released to the CSP community yet, but like there are organizations, imagine this, you have 500 people in the United States and 500 people in the United Kingdom. Mm-hmm. You don't necessarily want all your people in the US to have to route their email all the way across the Atlantic and back before they send an email. So you have separate tenants. Basically, you have a Microsoft tenant in the US and you have a Microsoft tenant in the UK, okay, or in the EU. So basically, your people in the EU or the UK, they operate off that tenant. You have people in the US, they operate off that tenant, but it's united under the same domain.
Okay.
So it's just a different way of routing traffic and routing people. And Microsoft's very capable of doing that. You just have to coordinate with them and make sure it's built out that way, which a lot of people don't think about until you're kind of halfway across the river.
Got it. If you want to read the article, the link is in the description. Up next, Axis Security acquisition gives HPE the edge in SaaS battle. The combination of Axis Security and Hewlett-Packard Enterprise's Aruba portfolio creates the most comprehensive edge portfolio in the industry. Secure Access Service Edge, Zero Trust Network Access, Cloud Access Security Broker, Secure Web Gateway. There are a lot of acronyms in this, Adam. What were your thoughts on the article?
Yeah, it's interesting. So this is Axis Security. This is actually an organization we partnered with before they got acquired by HPE, and we've been an HPE partner for a long time. So kind of cool to see those two things coming together. And the idea of ZTNA, something I wanted to talk about, and when I was reading this article, and I think it's something that, our partners and even sometimes our customers can kind of fall into the idea that, ZTNA or an asset or a specific software service is the whole answer. I was on a partner call yesterday and working through a request. We had about, a 5,000 user environment that was leveraging a certain software vendor for their email security. And they weren't getting along with their current MSP, and they were asking, hey, can you guys give us a quote for this specific product? And I'll loop this back to ZTNA, but they were asking for us to basically give them a quote for a specific email security product. Well, that wasn't really the issue that they needed to solve, and we kind of had to have a dialogue around what they were actually trying to solve. The software that they needed to purchase because they were transitioning away from their current MSP, that's part of the story. That's part of what they're trying to achieve. Integrating and moving 5,000 mailboxes from one service provider to another is a much larger challenge than just the underlying software. And ZTNA falls into the same boat. ZTNA is the idea of, zero trust network access, right?
Mm-hmm.
And giving people access to your applications, your environment, leveraging zero trust architecture and the ability to manage policies and all that kind of stuff. There's a lot more to it than just buying that SKU, right? There's a ton of integration. There's a ton of work that needs to go into it. And a lot of people kind of fall into this trap of, well, I'm going to buy this product and it's going to get me the outcome I need.
Mm-hmm.
That's like going to Home Depot and saying, but you're buying all the parts and pieces that go into a house.
Yeah.
But actually, is that really the cost of the house? No, you have to pay the taxes. You have to pay the permitting. You have to make sure that the ground is leveled. You have to make sure that you have the appropriate labor to come in the appropriate order to build that house for you. I don't know why it happens in the digital world. I think it's something that has to do with marketing and the way we tell stories. But in the digital world, people sometimes assume like, well, no, I'm going to buy the drywall and it's going to all of a sudden work. Like it doesn't translate. And ZTNA is one of those kind of marketing words that we're seeing. I think it's great that HPE bought Axis, and I think there's some fantastic integrations that can happen there. They're going through that process right now and promoting that, but it's not a product. And I think sometimes when people merge into this product conversation, they can set themselves up for trouble down the road, because that's not what it is. ZTNA is not a product. It's part of an integration effort that takes time and discipline to leverage.
So here's my thinking, Adam, that I think the reason we always expect technology to work is if you think about movies. So let's take like a house or a car. There's lots of movies out there where it's like people are working on cars and people are working on building houses. I can't really think of a lot of movies where people are like working with data centers and they're working on their tech. I feel like it usually just works. Think of Star Wars, Star Trek. The tech just tends to work. Now, I'm just coming up with that right now. So
Hot take.
So if you can think of moments in technology and films where the tech doesn't work, like let me know in the comments, and please let me know if I'm wrong. But that's my thought. We often see it working in media.
I think that's a great point. Oftentimes when we're talking about these complex solutions and you're hearing the pitch from HPE, right? It's a huge organization, right? They bought Aruba, they bought Axis, and they're kind of putting all these solutions together.
Mm-hmm.
just that combination, just getting those two things to communicate within each other is a huge lift. But yeah, you kind of you don't necessarily, no one goes in and crushes a sale by talking about how complex the car is, right? No, you want to simplify it. And that's where I think that the channel and partners are so crucial to helping execute on these things. Yeah, it's a great capability, but no one client is the same as another, and every client has different systems deployed. And as much as HPE or Cisco or Microsoft or Oracle would like this unified platform that's all leveraging their best practices, no one actually really does that. I mean, maybe a couple people do that, but no one actually does that. Everyone's investing in different parts of the stack and trying to tie different things together and make things work. That's not the program that these guys actually deal with when they go into a real environment. We see that all the time. We see people look at a proposal and look at a spreadsheet and look at a SKU and say, hey, this is great, and we want to buy this. Cool. Day two, how is that integrating? How is that going to tie into your existing systems? If you're born in the cloud, you're a different kind of company. If you have legacy on premise, then you're a different kind of company. If you're a hybrid in between the two and you have some cloud and some on premise, all these solutions are different. So great opportunity for the channel, great opportunity for partners to help with the integration piece of it, because I don't think marketing is going to slow down. I don't think HPE or Cisco or Microsoft's going to slow down, buying and building things, and customers are going to keep buying and building things too. And then luckily for us, we get to hang out and help them put it together.
I love that. That's a great way of looking at the channel. That's fantastic.
Yeah.
So Adam, what's happening this week? What are you looking forward to on the horizon?
Well, it was Global Running. We already talked about Global Running Day, so I'm not sure.
I was so disappointed I missed it. I was very aware of National Donut Day. I missed Global Running Day.
Same ilk. You could run to donuts. It's good.
Donut Day, I believe, is 2 or 3 days before National Running Day. So
okay, that's good.
Get your calories, feel bad, burn them off. That's kind of the
carbo loading. Positive. You're carbo loading.
Yeah.
So it's summer's in full swing. We're continuing to see cybersecurity challenges and people coming in from different states of needing help, and we're always here to help 24/7 from an incident response standpoint. Something I'd love to share with our listeners. If you didn't see it, I posted on LinkedIn a few days ago. Tim Burke, who's been on here a couple of times, did a great non-technical story about our business and Quest, and on a podcast called Cash Flow Contractor. Really cool interview. If you have some time to listen to it, it's very down to earth and how he built the company and his philosophy and thesis on business. Definitely check that out. We'll put that in the show notes.
Yeah, that was a great interview. Definitely link in the show notes. So it's always good to hear from Tim and hear his perspective.
Absolutely. Well, you, Paul, what are you looking forward to? Anything good going on?
Adam, this week it's the new Transformers film coming out.
Is there a new Linkin Park song to go along with it?
I don't think so. I've just been seeing trailers and commercials everywhere. That's summer, baby. Tentpole movies that are turn your brain off at the door and just enjoy a bunch of explosions.
Oh, good. That's good.
Yeah.
Right on.
Yeah.
Right on. Well, everyone have a great week, and thanks for hanging out.
See you next week. Thanks so much for listening. The Incident Report is brought to you by Quest Technology Management. With over 40 years of experience, Quest is a leading technology integrator working seamlessly with your staff and systems to achieve your IT goals. Learn more about everything they do at questsys.com. And if you have questions or suggestions for the podcast, you can always email Adam and myself at theincidentreport@questsys.com. We hope you have a great week, and we'll see you next time.